because I got an update on the Bradley Manning trial, or hearing, I should say. It's like a pretrial hearing, and I don't know what let me just check and see what the latest is, but Bradley Manning's attorney. We haven't heard the disposition of this, but Bradley Manning's attorney, David Coombs, started the hearing essentially, and this is a pretrial hearing, started the hearing by basically saying that this is the presiding judge, known as the investigating officer, in an Article 32 hearing, is what I guess Article 32 probably of the military code of justice. Coombs, his lawyer, basically said, "You need to recuse yourself," to essentially the judge, because the judge,
Lieutenant Colonel Paul
Almanza, has worked since 2002 as a prosecutor for the U.S. Department of Defense. He's prosecuted 20 cases. The Department of Justice since 2002. The DOJ has an ongoing case that is trying to build against WikiLeaks. And it would be in the interest of the Department of Justice to get Bradley Manning to testify against WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. It's very difficult to have somebody who's working for an entity that is trying to prosecute WikiLeaks adjudicating over someone they want to be a witness in that case, which is a separate case. Second, Coombs, the attorney, makes the argument that he had a list of 48 defense witnesses presented to the judge. The judge only is allowing 2 of those defense witnesses to testify, as opposed to the prosecutors who called for a 20-person witness list, and all of whom were allowed to testify. Third, Coombs asked that the entire hearing itself, the pretrial hearing, be held in private, so as not in any way to be prejudicial to a potential jury pool. In this case, I guess the jury pool would be, military personnel in a court-martial. Fourth, he said he was protesting the nature, the fact that he was not allowed to even name any potential witnesses who would challenge, A, the nature of the material that was leaked to WikiLeaks, and the harm that it supposedly caused. Right? So, in other words, it's been a year and a half. This material is basically, as far as I know, the vast majority, if not all of it, has been completely now released by WikiLeaks. And excuse me, all of it has not been released by WikiLeaks. Much of it was released by the New York Times and the Washington Post and the Guardian and other newspapers around the world. WikiLeaks, I think, released the bulk of it, but certainly not all of it, and certainly not the majority of it, and certainly not even the potentially the most pertinent in terms of what theoretical harm it's done to the United States. And that's very, very important distinction, because one of the 23 counts against Bradley Manning that have now finally been released for the first time is that he knowingly, quote, gave, quote, intelligence to the enemy through indirect means. Now, this is an think about this for a minute. He knowingly gave intelligence to the enemy through indirect means. WikiLeaks operated no differently in this case than the New York Times has in various other instances. That many newspapers have in other instances. Functioning exactly in the same way. And what intelligence went to the enemy? Are all of the thousands of cables, is that intelligence that went to the enemy? All of it? I mean, what is the standard here? That is a very, very vague standard. So as of this broadcast, we don't know what the disposition, whether the judge essentially or the investigating officer held a recess, I guess, to determine what he should do next when faced with a motion that he should recuse himself. And he has, I think, returned to the court as of a little bit while ago, but it's unclear as to what the judge, how he responded. I mean, I would imagine if he was going to recuse himself at that moment, the hearing probably would be over. I don't know.
The military court does not allow like live coverage. Like the journalists who are in there have to write down all their information, and then they can't report it until the court goes into recess.
Ah, okay.
So that's why you don't see this information coming out.
I see. So we just knew what I just told you just because the court took a recess so that the judge ostensibly could decide whether or not he was going to recuse himself. So we shall see.